Hello, it is the 3rd of January, it's Wednesday, and big risk event today, which I thought was the Fed minutes, which are at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. New York time, seem to be a bit secondary to what's going on in crypto markets. So there's been a bit of a dump in Bitcoin, a bit of a false breakout yesterday, followed by a dump today. Now, there's a couple of reasons why we could see a dump and reversal like this. One of them is that a whale is trying to, when we get the ETF move, and especially if it spikes and then falls very rapidly, if you're in a very, very large Bitcoin position, then it can be sometimes quite hard to exit all of it if you wanted to sell some of it. And so potentially, if what we see, if somebody has a lot to sell, we may see selling or profit taking ahead of this announcement, especially as there is some risk. There is a possibility that the SEC could still deny the ETF application. We know that they've been having meetings and with the exchanges, and there's lots of kind of technical discussion going on, the kind of technical discussion that they would have if they're going to approve it. But it's still not actually a done deal until it's a done deal. As you know my feelings. If we have an ETF on the futures, it's completely ludicrous to me that we don't have a ETF on the underlying spot Bitcoin. But I know there's one application that the final deadline is next Wednesday. But to be honest, the SEC could still find a reason to reject it and ask for some changes, and then they have to start the whole procedure again. And so there is a risk that we're seeing this selling, that this is not just someone, maybe profit taking ahead of the announcement, but there is possible that somebody, an insider, knows what's going to happen. As you know, we have seen quite a premium in Bitcoin in the futures versus the spot. But that premium hasn't been shown for the ETF application for GBTC. So as we have all been speculating, there is a possibility that they're not going to get it. So I don't know what's going on, but I have to say, as long as we hold this 40,000 level, and as long as we hold these previous swing lows and this 4-hour 50 move, this daily 50 moving average, which is key to our trend, we're still going up and we're not in a bigger pullback. And only if we lose this daily 50 and 40 and this 40,000 level am I going to be a little bit more concerned, because then I think, we've done this 786, as you know, reversal at the low here in December a year ago. When you reverse to the 786, your first target is the 38.2, and sometimes you go beyond that, and potentially at the moment, this is just sideways at this 38.2 fib level, but it could turn into a bigger reversal, and a bigger reversal here would mean back to 36,000 and this 50% pivot level and this previous swing low. So that would also mean back to the weekly 20. So we lose the daily moving averages and we end up coming back to this weekly 20 at 36,000. So at the moment, I feel like it's a bit of a nasty squeeze and shake. But it could end up into something bigger, and for me, underneath 40,000 would be that signal. So I'm not going to rule it out. If we look at our 4-hour moving averages, here we are at the 4-hour 200 moving average. Ever since we got above it in September, it's been important trend support, and it was important trend support over the holidays as well. So we know that staying underneath that also points to lower. We could also draw this, as you know, as a little F kind of pattern, so channel. We could draw this as a 4-hour or an hourly channel, and if we did this here like this, I'm just going to collect these highs and clone it, project it from the lows. Here we've got a one touch, second touch, didn't touch it here, so this could be a third touch false breakdown. And as long as we hold this, so as long as we hold these key supports, I think it's all getting a little bit volatile as we get close to the ETF announcement, but I don't see it potentially as a bearish reversal yet. But underneath 40,000, underneath that daily 50, yes, it would point to more downside and potentially back to 36,000. It was quite interesting because we had the breakout yesterday, didn't we? And we didn't have a breakout in ETH or anything else. And so you often wonder which one is right. And if Bitcoin keeps going, then will we then look to take profit and ETH to follow on? And in fact, ETH in this case was right. We have reversed at this resistance at 2,400. So just like Bitcoin, we've got pretty good, even if we go all the way back left here to this swing high, we've got really good support and resistance at 21.29. A close underneath the daily 50 moving average in 21.29 would point to more downside back towards the 200 moving average, and potentially this is one of those kind of rising wedges like this, and potentially we go back to the bottom of the channel. So let's wait and see. A simple way to look at it is fib level to fib level. And so for me, when I'm looking at this, is it going to turn into a bigger bearish reversal? I go from the low we made here in October and say, well, underneath this 236 fib. So now I'm going to go all the way from the all-time low here. And really, we don't want to close underneath this 236 fib because that would point to bigger. And wouldn't you know, that's exactly where we found our support at 2075. If you look at the hourly, that's where everyone is waiting. So if we make a higher low, or if we double bottom, or any kind of bottom pattern at 2075, in ETH keeps it still in an uptrend. But whenever we do make a bottom, we need to either wait for a higher low to point to going up again, or we need a double bottom or even a retest of the lows. So I'm being a little bit cautious here. I'm not jumping into buying more of anything. I'm just kind of trying to manage what I've got at the moment. And quite a lot of other altcoins, in fact most altcoins have had a bit of a nasty shakeout today as well. Let's take a look at some. Here's one I was getting excited about, Arbitrum. This is the previous high back in April in Arbitrum, and here we are testing these highs and a pretty violent reversal here in Arbitrum. If we go down to the 4 hour, you can see what I mean. Now, quickly bought back up in Arbitrum, and now we are holding these previous highs. As you know, I have this rule that when we make a new high, I look for the 886 on a back test usually to be support, and I don't want to see it close underneath it. So I'm going to say I'm staying bullish in Arbitrum if we hold above 1.69, and really if we get back above this 113 extension, I'm going to look for the 1217 next and the 1.618, and we'll call this holding up. But for now, it's all a little bit of a nasty big doji pause, and that really says indecision, bit of a pause. And even all the hot ones that we really like Sui and so on, everything having really nasty pullbacks. For example, here in Sui, let's go to the daily or the weekly. Target, we were looking at this 50% level, 0.94 next. We were kind of going level to level to level. I drew my fibs from this high in May 2023 to this low, and we validated it because we held above this, because of this lovely reaction, at this 236 fib resistance, and then above it. And yeah, when you reverse 50%, you tend to kind of go 50% the other way. So we could see one of those bigger pullbacks in Sui. Back to, let's put in that 50% retrace level. A little bit lower, 0.653. At the moment we've got really nice buyers off this daily 50, and that's where we found buyers when we had a pullback on the 18th of December. So although it's looking a little bit toppy and nasty, and this is a really nasty volatile squeeze, some people will have got shaken out of their positions and will be quite badly hurt after this, and it kind of makes everybody a bit hesitant, and right as we then come into this ETF decision. So as you know, I have a feeling it could be a bit of a sell event after the decision, and I don't even know which way it's going to go, but that's what I'm looking for in crypto. Okay, so let's talk about other markets later today, because today is the Fed day, and I am making a separate update for what we are looking for in stock indexes and FX. Remember, it's all about the dollar. And yesterday when we looked at the euro, we were looking at this support level in this daily 20 moving average to hold at 1.095. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce. We could possibly bounce up from here, close back above it after the Fed. I'm doing a separate Fed update. But at the moment, if we close down here, it does look like more downside, and potentially we're doing one of those bigger three-wave corrections, so further to fall in the dollar, in currencies against the dollar, so the euro dollar and so on. Even the pound is having a bit of a not quite such a bad day, let's put it this way. We've had a pretty nasty move, but we are holding this equal measured move level in the pound. This is I certainly prefer how the pound is looking to the dollar at the moment. And the other one we were watching the bearish reversal in was the Aussie dollar. And again, kind of not quite the nasty moves that we are seeing in the euro as yet. So let's see how we go. But again, don't step away from the screen if you've got a big position on. Actually, I would say be careful, very careful with any leverage with what's going on as we go into this ETF decision. We could see some really nasty moves. Good luck.